I'd had enough and I was just done.
I had enough and I was done.
I walked in and I told my boss, I quit.
I walked in, I quit.
And why?
Why not? Why not
We could do this. We could do this better.
do things that scare you?
I felt alive all of a sudden, and it was amazing.
The Go Hunt Life Show, hosted by Todd Nevins.
Hello, this is Todd Nevins, and I interview people that had seemingly normal lives and careers going, but they pulled the ripcord to epically reinvent themselves in order to pursue a life full of purpose and passion. This episode is sponsored by PrintDirtCheap.com. Jeff Chrisman, the founder of Print Dirt Cheap, and the crew there are rock stars when it comes to delivering top quality printing at a cheap price. If you've met me in the last 3 years and I handed you a business card, it was printed by Print Dirt Cheap. They're my online digital printing company for everything. They do banners, company letterhead, a ton of direct mail pieces, funky decals, even menus for restaurants, over 30 categories of printing products, and yes, business cards. And they do it fast and they do it cheap. Jeff has streamlined every little aspect of the business to provide the perfect user experience, delivering the best product in the industry. I have personally been to the offices and I have seen it firsthand. But see for yourself. Go to printdirtcheap.com and use promo code GoHuntLife and get $10 off of your order. Or if you want to get a sample of their work, click on Sample Pack and they'll mail you one out for free. Go to printdirtcheap.com, use promo code GoHuntLife for $10 off of your next print job. This episode is also sponsored by one of my companies, Click Placement. We are a pay-per-click marketing agency specializing in PPC badassery. We have literally helped hundreds of companies over the last decade drive engagement through paid search advertising using Google AdWords and Bing Ads, LinkedIn, and of course, Facebook. We work with startups, established businesses, and nonprofits to customize campaigns to drive sales or leads, build brand awareness, sell products, or generate mobile app downloads. Hit us up at clickplacement.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn to start a conversation.
And it wasn't until I went to Thailand in, I think it was 2008, and it was just going to be a 2 or 3 week vacation. Kind of towards the end of it, I realized, hey, I'm here in flip-flops and shorts, and I'm wearing a $3 t-shirt, and nobody cares, and I'm happy. It's sunny. There's all these amazing things to do. The food's good. Everything's cheap. And I think that was kind of the moment I realized, hey, why go back?
That is Johnny FD, and I can't wait to share his story with you. But first, a couple of quick things. I've just started a Patreon page, which allows you to support the show for as little as $1 an episode. Podcasts aren't cheap to produce and market, so any donation that you provide helps a ton and keeps me cranking out the stories. And for becoming a Patreon patron, you will also get behind-the-scenes videos of what happens right before and right after an interview. The before and after video for this episode is up there right now for free at patreon.com/GoHuntLife. And to donate, hit the Become a Patron button, and you rock. Number 2, I want to make this show incredible, but I need your feedback. What kind of stories do you want to hear more of? More people selling it all and opening a retail store, or building a tech startup, or traveling the world and becoming a location-independent entrepreneur, or sailing the ocean? I need your feedback and I want it. So what do you like about the show and how can I improve? I want to know. So send me an email to tnevins@clickplacement.com. Just how it sounds. And now, Johnny FD. He is a world traveler and online entrepreneur that last year made $325,000. But in 2013, he was down to his last $1,000. He is a digital guinea pig when it comes to learning how to make passive income online and build digital businesses from anywhere in the world. A couple of the best things about him is that he's humble and completely transparent. He shares everything on what's worked for him, what hasn't, and how you can get started on building a side hustle business, making a few $1,000s a month, or some serious online passive income. So here's my conversation with Johnny FD. Johnny FD, thank you for joining me today on Go Hunt Life.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is fun.
Very cool. What city are you in, and what is your view? What are you looking at?
I am in Bali right now, and it is night, so I'm looking out into the dark jungle. But either way, it's a beautiful place. If you've ever been down here,
I have not. And you're 13 hours ahead of me sitting in Austin, Texas. So it is early morning here and it is in the evening there. So awesome. All right. So how old are you? Are you married and do you have kids?
35. I've never been married, but I was pretty close last year. And I plan on having kids, but my life would definitely change a lot if I did. So I'm going to enjoy not having responsibility for at least a few more years.
And so your life, what is your profession right now?
So right now I'm actually living off of passive income. I started kind of as a digital nomad about 4 years ago, turned entrepreneur, sold all the businesses, and now I'm just living off of passive income and investments.
All right. That wasn't always the case. Take me back 2006 to 2008. You graduated from college and followed a normal career path. Like, what were you doing?
I worked for Honeywell. I was an account executive, which is just a fancy way of saying I was, a cubicle slave, just helping, business. And it's something that I'm glad I went through, but I never want to do that again.
So where were you living? What did a typical week look like?
I was in Orange County, California, so just about an hour south of LA. And Monday through Friday, I'd wake up, move around papers, I think the first year I was pretty excited to be at the job. And then as soon as I realized half the meetings I go to are pointless, I'm not really pursuing my passion, I'm not really adding any real benefit to the world, I kind of just mentally checked out. I spent half the day, just reading things online. I got a bit addicted to online shopping and spent half my days thinking, okay, if I bought this, maybe that'll make me happy. And I would literally have a package arrive from Amazon every day of the week. And it got so crazy that I would forget what I ordered.
Okay. So what was this was in your mid 20s. What were you buying? Like electronics or games or clothes or what?
It was really literally anything. I remember, the only thing I still have kept since then is I have a double-edged razor. So instead of having the traditional razor blade, I bought this old school thing that, maybe your grandfather had, where you would actually have actual razor blades that you put in. And then to go with that, you have all these different types of shaving cream and like a badger hair brush. Then you need a bowl for that brush, and then you need the aftershave for that. And this became just another one of my hobbies, thinking, hey, if I had all these things, maybe then I would be happy. But that definitely wasn't the case.
Was there a final tipping point that caused you to realize, man, I am on the wrong path and there's something else out there? I may not know what it is at this moment, but I'm just confident that there's something else out there. Was it something that just triggered it?
Well, I remember every single time I would either, buy something or even accomplish something, as in, I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to stay at the Bellagio, or I'm gonna get a penthouse somewhere, or I'm gonna get a Porsche. Every time I got whatever that dream item was, I was actually a little bit more depressed because I knew, hey, there's one less thing on my list of possible things that would make me happy, and I'm just one step closer to having nothing. And it wasn't until I went to Thailand, and I think it was 2008, and it was just going to be a 2 or 3 week vacation. It was then that I realized, it was kind of towards the end of it, that I realized, hey, I'm here in flip-flops and shorts, and I'm wearing a $3 t-shirt, and nobody cares, and I'm happy. It's sunny. There's all these amazing things to do. The food's good. Everything's cheap. And I think that was kind of the moment I realized, hey, why go back?
And so you were over there on just a vacation, sabbatical, temporary kind of a thing, and you just canceled your return ticket? Like, what was it?
I wish I was smart enough to just cancel it and be able to stay, because it would have saved me a lot of money. But sure. I was so sure I was going to go back that I actually begged my landlord to let me renew my lease for another year before I went on the vacation, just so I can have the peace of mind of knowing that everything was set. And ironically, I guess when I got back, I had to ask him to, break the lease, which ended up costing me money. I had a house full of furniture. I had 2 cars at the time. I had, a closet full of clothes, tons of kitchen gadgets. Basically just my whole life, and things that I bought for the last 10 years.
So you get back there, you're like, landlord, I'm out, peace out. You had to liquidate everything, sell your cars. How long did that take you, and what did you go back over to Thailand with?
So my original plan was and what was logical was to take 6 to 8 months to sell everything, save up some money, and then go back to Thailand.
Right.
But as soon as I started telling people about my plan, they would give me a million reasons not to go. They would, tell me I was an idiot, or sometimes even though they had good intentions, they would do or say things that would freak me out or prevent me from going. And to be honest, I didn't have all the answers, but I knew that was something I wanted to do, and I knew I would figure it out. So I decided then and there just to book a ticket, and I gave myself 2 weeks to sell everything and just get out there.
To stop the negative haters that were saying, what are you doing? Because, you are in a position where, you got your job, you got your cars, you've got your kitchen appliances, and there's no, if you look at it like on a spreadsheet, there's no logical reason at the end of it that should say, no, man, you're making the right decision. Sell everything and move to Thailand. How'd you fight through it? And who was the biggest, I guess, your parents, your family, your closest buddies, who was saying, man, what are you doing, dude? Don't do this.
Well, the funny thing, it wasn't even the people that knew me the best that would try to prevent me. It was people that I barely had a say in my life, and they were the ones to bring it up. And it was insane, because I was thinking, who was this person to tell me I shouldn't be doing this, and is their life any better? And it was, and unfortunately, back in 2008, I didn't know anyone who's ever done it. I mean, I hardly had friends who even traveled out of the country for more than a couple of weeks at the time. There weren't that many travel bloggers out there yet, or at least ones I had followed. Mm-hmm. And literally the only person the only book I've ever read about this was The 4-Hour Workweek, and it had just come out. And I thought, Tim Ferriss is this millionaire that had this big business, so I can't do what he did. But that was my only source of inspiration.
Number one book that's brought up on this podcast, bar none. Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek. Amazing. All right, so you quit your job, you get on that flight, one-way ticket, I'm guessing?
Yep, one-way ticket to Thailand. And actually, I decided to move to this little island called Koh Tao, which means Turtle Island, and I wanted to become a dive master. And I'd only been diving once, and it was on I wasn't even certified yet. It was a Discover Scuba Dive.
Oh my God, okay. Oh man, I saw that in your backstory. I figured you'd been diving for your whole life. Not even close.
No, definitely not. I was so unprepared that on my first dive trip, which was a full day out at sea, I didn't bring a towel or a bathing suit. I didn't bring swim trunks.
Oh my. Okay. Wow. You were green. That's awesome. So how did that first trip go without trunks or a towel?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, I basically had to be in my underwear on the boat, and I just stopped caring. I was just like, you know what? This is so great. It happened to be a beautiful sunny day. It was a 3-hour drive out to the island. It was called Ratchayai, this little island off of Phuket. And as soon as we got in the water, I felt like I jumped through through the Stargate, and it was in a whole new world.
Okay, that sounds great for that day, but how are you going to pay for your new life? What did you have in the bank, and how much were you planning on living on each month?
So I had asked my dive instructor, this guy named Rene Christophe, and I said, what are you paying for rent? And he said, about $500 a month. And I was like, oh man, I'm paying $1,200 back in LA. Just that I can live off of $1,200. Including food and everything. Mm-hmm. And I had about $3,000 in the bank. It wasn't very much, but I had my 2 cars were paid off, and they weren't worth a lot. They were, one was like a 95 Lexus and one was a 92 Miata. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting about another $6,000 or $7,000 for that. Right. Sold all my everything else on Craigslist, on eBay, just whatever I can get. I ended up giving away a lot of things and donating a lot of things, but I ended up around $10,000, which I had calculated would last me 10 months or, maybe a little bit less. But that, and my original plan was to just go until that money ran out and then come back to the U.S. and work again. But that was 2008, and the money's never ran out.
So so that's cool. You got a 10-month cushion, and then if you become a dive instructor, you're certainly going to start making money as well, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And my advice to everyone is don't become a dive instructor just for the money. If you enjoy diving, you could be something called a dive master, which only allows you to take out people who are already certified, but it's all the fun. It's less money, but it's still enough to live, and it's just less headache. You'll enjoy it a lot more.
All right. Based on your background, and you may have just alluded to this, in 2013, it seemed like everything changed when you started making money online. You figured that out. Between 2008, when you got there in your underwear and you're out in the water and you're like, all right, I've figured this out. So between 2008 and 2013, what transpired? What'd your life look like?
I guess logically, some people will look back and think, oh, what did you actually accomplish during those 5 years? And I think maybe on paper, my bank account didn't grow. I didn't really, do anything like that. But I basically traveled the world as a dive master. I lived on 6 different islands from the Caribbeans, all through Thailand, over to Borneo, even went to Australia for a while. And then I got into Muay Thai, which is Thai kickboxing, and I ended up living in all these different camps all around Thailand. And just training and living in these cheap bamboo huts. A lot of times I would get free accommodation just because I was literally fighting for them, and I was being sponsored by the gym. And I was never great enough to have that be my career, but it floated me. It got me free food or free accommodation. And I think the biggest prize I ever fought for was maybe $150. But back then it was enough to float me for another week or two.
Gotcha. All right. So what changed in 2013? In your background, it says that you were fighting. I mean, you're fighting whether you're winning or losing, you're still getting beat up. And I'm assuming you're dealing with injuries and all kinds of stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. And I learned so much from that. And I'm glad I went through that process. I think it really made me the man I am today. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't something I could do forever. And I turned 30 at that time. And I realized, what am I doing in my life? I'm almost out of money. I think I was down to, my last, $1,000 or $2,000 at that time. And I thought, okay, well, this is it. I don't really want to go back to to teaching scuba diving because I'd done it for the last 4 years and I was getting a bit burnt out from that. And I thought I have to learn how to either make money location independently, maybe something online, or I have to go back and get a job. And luckily I had decided, let's go for it and let's try to figure out how to make money online.
All right. What was your first step?
So my first step was to monetize my Muay Thai blog. I've basically been blogging my whole life, never really made any money from it. Maybe I made, $100 a year here or there, but it was just never enough to actually be any real income. But I had heard, there's people that make a full-time living off their blogs. Mm-hmm. So one of the easiest ways to do it would be to write some kind of ebook. And I decided, hey, why not write a ebook about how to live cheaply in Thailand, how to find the best Muay Thai gyms, what it's like working as a dive master, dive instructor. And I decided to just basically take all the information I had from my blog but turn it into a readable book, and ended up being called 12 Weeks in Thailand: The Good Life on the Cheap. And that was my first kind of online venture that paid me, I think I made about $600 that first month. And I thought, this is it. I can retire off of this. I can live off of $600 a month, because that was kind of my budget back then anyways.
That's a good first month. That's a really good first month with an ebook.
It was a great first month, but it turns out that most of that was, from my followers who have been reading my blog for years, and they've gotten so much, free value from it, so they wanted to buy the book. And unfortunately, month 2, and since that, it went down to about $200 a month. And the good thing is it's been pretty steady since. I still have about $200 in passive income every single month from my books, but that alone was not enough to live off of. And at that point, I realized, okay, I either have to write 2 more books or I have to figure out some other type of online business.
So what was that? What was your step after that?
So what I actually did was I started just finding people who had some kind of online business. And in the beginning, it was honestly just to figure out ways to sell more books. So I would, ask if I could take them out to lunch or buy them a coffee, and I would pick their brains and be like, what do you do? How do you think I can advertise my book more? And, most people who were doing things like SEO or some kind of programming or something, and none of it really interested me. But then there was one guy named Anton Crayley that I took to dinner, and he was like, "Oh, I sell stuff online. I sell furniture online, and I'm in e-commerce." And instantly, I had all these questions. I'm like, "How are you doing that while you're here? Don't you have a lot of inventory? Don't you have ship all these things back and forth?" And it was the first time I ever heard the term drop shipping, which is just a fulfillment method that a lot of actually big companies use. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that, most of the time when you buy stuff online, they're not shipping that item, to like 2 or 3 different places than to you, because it's just a big waste. A lot of times the manufacturer, the actual person who, the company that makes it, they ship it directly to the customer.
All right. So Anton's just he's a middleman. You said furniture. Furniture means big, bulky, heavy, expensive to ship kind of stuff. How does that work? If he is in Thailand, he's got a Amazon store, he's got a website, he's got a Facebook page. Like what's going on with that? How does it all work?
So he does it off his own websites, and he has his own method. I mean, now that I've met so many other people who do e-commerce, I met tons of people who sell on Amazon. A lot of people sell things on other platforms. But for kind of the way he did it was he would make his own website. He would find really niche furniture items. So he wouldn't just sell like generic couches, for instance. He would only sell things that were hard to find at stores. So it might be something like like couches made out of some kind of special eco-friendly material or something like that. And he would have a whole store based on that. And, just kind of as a random example, I don't think he ever sold like llama hair couches or anything, but that's, his store would be called like llamahaircouches.com. And he would find all the suppliers out there that sold llama hair couches, put it on one place to make it really easy for people to find. And then he would make a deal with the actual manufacturers or the suppliers of the llama hair couches and say, "Hey, I would like to be an authorized dealer. What's your wholesale discount?" And then he would work out some kind of drop shipping agreement. We would say, well, instead of you shipping it to me in New Jersey, where his home, or New York, where his home was,
sure.
Can you just ship it directly to the customer? And usually they'd be fine with it.
All right. So you meet him, you buy him lunch, you go through, I'm assuming he's your first mentor over there. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So, I mean, actually, I bought him dinner, and then he left, I think, just a few days later. I think we hung out a few times. He, gave me some advice, and all of a sudden he continues to travel. He's down on the islands. I think he goes to Vietnam, and I'm thinking, crap, like, I had so many other questions, but it turns out he had a course. And I was like, you know what? I met this guy. I know he's legit. I see that he knows what you're talking about. So I signed up for it, and I just followed it.
Could you code, like you said he made a website? That's going to throw a lot of people off that are thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Like that's out of my realm. That's out of my scope. Could you build a website? How much coding do you need to do?
I had pretty much zero experience. Even today, I still can't code. We're very lucky. I think it's actually probably easier today than it was even 4 years ago when I started. But in his course, he, had basically told you, like, don't try to do this on your own. Just pay $29 a month for something like Shopify, where it's like a drag and drop e-commerce platform, sure. And let them code it. You just kind of just put in your products.
Okay. So you start opening up stores. I read at some point you had 15 to 20 different niches, different stores going at one time. Is that right?
No. So for me, I actually, I like to focus on kind of one niche at a time.
Yeah.
I had helped a bunch of people when I had kind of almost like as a partner store, but I've realized it's too much effort to try to juggle with other people, and you can't control what's happening in their life. So I've stopped doing that.
Sure.
Most of those have either sold early now. There's still a couple of them who are actually still running, and they're doing pretty well. So they send me checks every single month for 25% of it. But the two main ones that I actually owned, I actually sold both of them within this last year.
What niche? What were you selling?
So there are also, a kind of custom furniture items. I can't go into the specifics because I had to sign a non-disclosure when I sold it.
Okay, no worries. All right, you started posting your income online when? Because, man, you are as transparent as you can get. When did you start putting that on your website?
It was, I look back, it was July 2014. So it's been about 3 years that I've just been taking screenshots of all my dashboards and all my income every single month. And on the first of the month, I just said, you know what, this is what I made this month.
And last month in March of 2017, you made $39,000.
Yeah, that was a really good month, but most of that came from selling my last dropshipping store. And so my actual passive income for last month, which was actually the first month that I stopped working. So it was pretty much all passive income because I was here in Bali. I wasn't working at all. And it was still about $9,000.
$9,000. Okay. All right. So another thing that you've started to moving away from the drop shipping business was affiliate marketing. Explain affiliate marketing to me.
So the probably the easiest way is if you go on johnnyfd.com and you look at any of my reviews for, let's say my backpack I use when I travel or the microphones I use for the podcast, I'll write a review of it. I may even make a video, kind of comparing the audio quality between this mic and a Blue Yeti or another mic. And I'll say, hey, if you're going to buy this anyways, you can use my Amazon link below and I'll get credit for referring you. And Amazon will actually, and I don't even know if most people know this, but anytime you recommend a friend a book or a piece of equipment, a camera or a backpack, whatever it is, you should just take a second and you send them your Amazon associate link instead of just sending them to Amazon.com. Sure. And you'll get, I think it's between 6 to 9% commission just for sending them there. And it's not like your friend or your reader has to pay any extra. Amazon is happy to give you this money out of their pocket.
Do you know the percentage of sales that come through Amazon that are through an affiliate versus right on their website?
I have no idea, but I know there are affiliates that only sell Amazon stuff that make, 6 figures a year just doing that.
I just started doing this within the last 30 days, and I am doing no effort almost. We put a couple of links on the sidebar and a couple of links for books in a few of the episodes, and I didn't think anything of it. And a week later, I got an email that I had made 77 cents. And I thought, okay, that was for doing basically like figuring out the proper way to put the code on the website, which is unbelievably simple. And I made 77 cents in a week for doing nothing. And the light bulb went off like, what? That was like zero effort. What am I missing? Because just do more of that.
Yeah. So in my course, Earnest Affiliate, I basically use myself as a case study as well as kind of teach kind of more of the mentality behind it, because the basic of it really is just that. But the kind of trick to it, or the way to kind of scale it up, the reason why I went from making $10 a month for my affiliate income to making a couple grand a month is because I figured out, if you have to be the guinea pig, people are not, they don't want to listen to advice from someone who hasn't done it themselves, who hasn't taken the risk themselves. But if you are willing to spend your own money and energy and time to try either a product, a course, or read a book, and then give your personal, honest feedback on it, and they can trust you, and they can relate to you, they will be more than happy to buy it through your link. Yeah,
your videos are awesome. I mean, and you say in the videos that you're not a programmer. It doesn't take some deep years of website development experience to get started. Why did you start Earnest Affiliate? Again, it's earnestaffiliate.com. You started that. Yeah, you are a guinea pig for earning money online. I don't want you to share anything that's obviously in the course, but I mean, what can someone expect at the end of it after completing the course? Where are they at in regards to making money online?
I mean, so I think that, the whole purpose of people signing up for it is either they already have some type of audience. So whether it's a social media following or a YouTube channel or a blog or an email list, or even if they have an ebook out there and they aren't monetizing it, basically if you have for every 1,000 subscribers that you have, you should be making $1,000 a month from some type of online income. And if you're not,
$1 a subscriber. Okay. That's
100%. And
Okay.
if you're not, you're leaving money on the table. And I guarantee you there's something out there that people kind of want or need that you can kind of lead them towards. I mean, for, easy example, for you, and without even knowing you too well, like what microphone are you using for this podcast? It sounds good.
Samson Q2U.
Okay. And have you tried some different mics before and did a lot of research before you settled on this?
I did, yeah. I mean, I looked at the Audio Technica and a couple of others, and I just chose this one.
So a really easy example would be for you to create either a video comparing the different mics or even writing a blog post on why you decided on this. And, and your situation will be very different from mine. Maybe you have a home studio versus I have to travel a lot with it. So maybe I'm sacrificing a little bit of audio quality for portability, while someone else might want XYZ. And by creating a unique value and really niching down. And I think the biggest mistake most people make is they try to appeal to everyone. They want to please everyone. They want to they don't want to step on anyone's toes or have anyone be turned off. But the thing is, if every single person if you're trying to please everyone, nobody's going to be happy.
Sure.
So for me, I know my niche is very, very specific. It's people that want to travel, but not even in a really luxurious of a way. They want to just travel, throw their laptop in a backpack, and be able to work out of a cafe or a co-working space, and be able to run an online business. And that's very different than me trying to appeal to every single business owner out there, or everyone out there that wants to create a podcast, or every single person that wants to do e-commerce. I know that not everybody's going to like my lifestyle. A lot of people don't want to travel so much. A lot of people don't want to live out of a backpack. A lot of people aren't minimalists like me. They want to have stuff. And that's just not me. And that's not my audience. And those aren't the people that are going to want to, I don't want to say replicate my life, but kind of follow in my footsteps and figure out what are the things that I've either used myself or bought myself that have brought me here. So, for example, if someone wanted to get into e-commerce, there's so many different ways to sell online. You could do it through Amazon FBA. You can do it through your own store on Shopify. You can do it by private labeling something off of Alibaba or AliExpress. But then if you wanted to go and do it the way I did it, you would go to johnnyfd.com and click on recommended resources and be like, okay, Johnny took this course, antonmethod.com. He recommends it. Let me do that as well.
All right. So niching down. Love that term. You're not only – you brought up the word minimalist for sure. You're making money online, so you've got income coming in, but you're not spending it on you live lean. What do you own?
So right now, all I have is I think it's a 65-liter North Face duffel bag and a small backpack. And besides the clothes, some clothes. I have a MacBook Air and a microphone, and that's really about it.
You own nothing in the United States, no property, rental house that you're renting out, nothing.
Nothing at all.
That is great. So I was watching one of your recent videos, and you had a couple of, I believe they were friends. I'm not sure if it was a family member or not, but they were coming over. They had come over and visited you. I believe you were still in Thailand at that time, and you were taking them through the market. It was a great video, and you were sharing certainly your life there. What do people like that say to you when the camera's not running? Like, are they jealous? Are they like, man, this is awesome, but I couldn't live like this? What's the number one thing that you hear when people come and visit you?
Well, the first part is getting them to come out to visit me, because I've been in Thailand I've been here for almost 8 years, and most of my friends either finally came, this last year when I was saying to them, hey, I think I'm moving on from Thailand for a while. I think I'm going to start traveling again. And definitely in the first 4 years, nobody wanted to come. And honestly, a lot of people didn't want to live in a bamboo hut with me in a coconut field and scuba dive all day. And that wasn't for everyone. I still don't know how many people who have read my books or follow me now even want that exact lifestyle. Mm-hmm. But I think people like the fact that they see, hey, you know what, I can take bits and pieces of Johnny's life and do the things that make me happy. And, whether it's a different martial art or a different sport or a different hobby or a different country, but I could still kind of follow that.
You also have a podcast. It's called Travel Like a Boss Podcast. When did you start that podcast?
I started that about 3 years ago, and it was in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I remember being interviewed on someone else's podcast and thinking it was going to be such a big deal when he asked me to sit down with him. And I thought we'd have to go into some studio. There'd be all this fancy equipment. And when he just pulled out a microphone and a laptop, I thought, man, this was not only was this really fun to sit down and really just dive in deep and get to know somebody, but I meet so many interesting people while traveling, especially entrepreneurs who are all location dependent, and some people are crushing it. I mean, I think some people look at my income and be like, oh, well, that's great. You're making 10 to 20 grand a month, and I meet people who are making way more than that, and I personally don't even have time to like sit down and figure out exactly how they got there. But the podcast gives me a reason to not only find out for myself, but be able to share that with my audience.
Yeah, I am 43 episodes in. 40. You know what? I think we will be 45. And the things that I've learned and the people that I've talked to and just the inspiration that I've pulled from it is off the grid. You're 155 episodes in now. Which episode or which guest's story do you personally think about the most?
I've honestly learned so much from every single one of them. That was the one question that I was thinking, man, I hope you don't ask me that because
sorry,
it's gonna be hard to jump in. But I mean, off the top of my head, the one that really was probably tells the whole story best and was kind of like the life-changing moment is episode 10. And that was with my mentor, Anton, where we talked about building that first store together. I think if you guys like more of the mindset stuff, there's an episode 131 it's called Shortcuts to Success. Okay. And just a hint, there are no shortcuts. Yeah. But we kind of talk about the real mindset behind that. But a lot of people, what they do is people either want to listen to the latest one to see what I've been up to, where I'm traveling to, what my future plans are, and maybe kind of live vicariously through my life, or know what's kind of the latest trend in business. Or a lot of people actually start from episode 1 and just follow the journey from there and see the progression.
Why should someone start a podcast right now today?
I think they should only do it if they really would enjoy just sitting down for an hour every single week and talk to either guests or to their partner. And don't do it to make money, because it takes a long time to make money from the podcast. I think I didn't get my first sponsor until like 120 episodes in. So big congrats for you to jump on that so quickly.
Cool. Thank you.
I actually started another podcast with a partner, Sam Marks, and it's called Invest Like a Boss. And the reason why we started it is we both sold our businesses and we had all this cash that we wanted to invest, but we had no idea what we were doing. And all the podcasts out there about investing, all the books are kind of made for people who already know what they're talking about, and nobody was asking kind of the dumb questions that we wanted to know. So we thought, hey, why not us? So our podcast is a little bit different from every financial podcast out there, where we're not financial experts. We're just two guys that don't know much about investing that would have experts on and ask them very layman term questions. And people have been following that journey as well.
I'm jumping on that one also. All right. So you brought up Chiang Mai, Thailand, and you and I were introduced by Anthony Rigolosi, who lives in Thailand as well. And he brought up the fact that he met you in Chiang Mai. Why is Chiang Mai such a massive hub for location independent entrepreneurs?
I think it's a perfect mix between good weather, cheap cost of living, and decent infrastructure. That's pretty good Wi-Fi. But honestly, it's really just for the community. And Forbes actually wrote an article that talked about why everyone is moving to Chiang Mai as far as the digital nomad entrepreneur scene. Yeah. And it's a great place. I've been actively searching alternatives to it just because you never know what's going to happen. The Thai visa rules might change, or the cost of living might go up, or maybe it just gets too crowded. So I've been searching the world these last couple of years for the alternative Chiang Mai. But right now, as of April 2017. If you want to go to a place that is like a college campus almost for digital nomads, not in terms that you'll necessarily learn what you would learn in college. You kind of have to do that on your own, but just to go and meet people, more like a college dormitory, I would say. Chiang Mai is the place you can just show up. You can ask around. You can look on Facebook to see what events are happening. And within a week, you'll probably have 20 new friends who are all location dependent, want to be digital nomads.
And you just had a summit recently, correct?
Yeah, so the third annual Nomad Summit, we have it every single year in Chiang Mai, where I invite out, basically my personal network of, or whoever we can find that is really killing it online. Most of them make six figures a year or more. All of them are location dependent, and they share kind of what people should be focusing on for the next year. But a lot of it like the videos are all free online, so you can just go on YouTube and just look for Nomad Summit. But it's not really just about the talks. The talks are only part of the value. It's really just meeting other like-minded people who are excited to learn and grow and want to meet each other.
Yep. Okay. You just posted on your blog just within the mid-March 2017 that on johnnyfd.com, JOHNNYFD.com, that you were officially retired. You've got $522,000 in the bank or in investments, and you're done. What made you come to that conclusion?
Well, first it was, honestly, I think I'm just tired from the last 4 years, and I wanted to take a break. It's been a crazy 4 years, and I think if I had four, to people listening to this back home, 4 years isn't that long time. If I had my corporate job back home and I lived in the same apartment in the same house, I went to the same restaurants, the same bars, 4 years would kind of just fly by. But just to put it in perspective, just last year alone, I was in 17 countries.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah.
And I wasn't just traveling through 17 countries. I was building and running businesses while traveling through 17 countries. And as exciting and as fun as it is fucking exhausting.
Fuck yeah. All right. So you're going to 17 countries building businesses. You're going to the manufacturers of the things that you're selling. Is that right?
Sometimes I do. It's a good way to write off everything as a business expense. But even if but most of the time you can find the manufacturers online. I actually like working with people who are already in the U.S. A lot of it is more for pleasure, more for just kind of exploration.
Sure.
And to meet other kind of like-minded entrepreneurs and business owners, check out the co-working spaces there. Yep. So I would say my whole life is technically business now. But you mix it with the pleasure as well.
Okay. So you mentioned Chiang Mai. You're in Bali right now. How long are you planning on staying in Bali? And do you plan on jumping back to Thailand?
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to go back to Chiang Mai, probably the next December, January, for the next summit. But I've decided instead of just staying there most of the year, because I've been based out of there. I've been spending maybe 6 months of the year in Chiang Mai for the last couple of years. And this year I've decided, hey, I want to hit the road again, especially now that I've sold all the stores and I have more free time. So the plan is I'm going to spend another month in Bali. I'm actually headed to Komodo this weekend to see the dragons and do some scuba diving. And then back to Bali for another month because my sister is actually flying from the U.S. with her husband, my niece and nephew. So I got to spend some family time with them.
Cool.
And from I think next month I'm going to fly to Portugal, spend a month surfing in Portugal, hanging out there, then go to Poland where I'm going to meet up St. Mark's. I think we're going to do another Eastern European trip, maybe through Latvia and Lithuania. And then I'm going to end the year probably back in – I think we're going to go to South America. And I've actually never been to South America yet, so I'm excited. I've only been to Central, so I think Colombia is going to be on the radar for this year.
Cool. And so people that are listening are like, wait a minute, $522,000, that sounds like an awesome, like your travel time for the next year or whatever it turns out to be is going to be expensive. You also have passive income that you don't have to grind and build. Is that right? You continue to have income coming in.
Yeah, so I'll say there's two folds of it. Is first, the only reason why I I have $522,000, pretty much in the bank or investments, is because for the last 4 years, as my income grew, and if you go back to all my income reports, you can kind of see the whole timeline. And I actually started more in 2013. My second book, which I didn't mention, is called Life Changes Quick, and the whole point of that book was of setting goals and trying to make my first $30,000, which to me was a huge obstacle at the time. And the reason why I chose that figure is 30,000 US is a 1 million Thai baht or around there. And in my mind, if I can be a Thai millionaire, I'd be able to, just coast and just enjoy life. Because I was living on a $600 a month budget when I was living in Thailand. And even when my income, went from, basically $600 a month to, at the highest point, it was 25 grand a month when I was really, I was running both my stores. I also had all my other income. I was still only spending maybe 1,200 a month. It wasn't just because I was, living as a minimalist. It was also because Thailand is just really that cheap, where it's hard to spend. Even if you try to, it's hard to spend more than $2,000 a month.
All right. You have very little, obviously. What you had said, you've got a duffel bag and a backpack. What is the biggest tangible thing that you've purchased for yourself recently?
Probably that duffel bag, to be honest.
All right. It's got to serve a purpose and have a function, or you're not buying it.
Yeah, well, so the what I've learned from Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I really like that first book. I'm not a huge fan of all the things that he does now, but that first book really taught me to buy investments and not liabilities, or not things that are just toys or things that will go down in value. So I haven't owned a car since 2008, and a fun fact is, because I never drive out here while I'm traveling, the only car I've driven in the last couple of years was a Lamborghini on a racetrack in Vegas.
Not bad. Hard to go up from there. Very cool. Do you have your driver's license?
Yeah, I still have a driver's license. And, when I'm in Asia, I'm usually renting scooters, or on weekends I'll rent a big motorcycle and drive it up into the hills. But, as far as cars, I'm taking Ubers, or I'm on a bike.
Yep. So what are 2 or 3 tools or life hacks that you use that you just could not live without?
I would say, as far as tools, I try to have less stuff. But one tool I really like is the Roost, which is a laptop stand. And what that does is it raises it's portable, and it raises your laptop to eye level. And that way you're not straining your neck looking down. I'm a huge fan of them, and it's Roost like Rooster. But but aside from that, most things aren't required. I think a lot of people will try to buy their way into having life be easier, but the reality is having less stuff really makes your life easier. So I would say that's actually one of my life hacks. Is I'm a minimalist almost out of like being a bit selfish. Is I don't want to I know that the more stuff I have, the more excuses I have not to travel, or the less things I have, the less free I am. So definitely try to keep your life as simple as possible. And my other hack is, don't be afraid to buy things that you really want to use or need, even if you want to give it away or sell it or throw it away in a few months. So, if you're somewhere for 2 or 3 months and you really want to play a guitar and you miss it, and you're actually going to play it every day, just buy one. If you end up giving it away to your guest house owner or someone, and you got the value out of it, enjoy it for those couple months.
That's a great life hack. All right, so right now there's somebody listening that's sitting in traffic in Chicago. They're working a job that they hate, and they only have $1,000 to start with. What would you suggest for them to do, like the first step or couple of steps to get rolling on side hustle, side business, online business that hopefully will turn into full-time income? What would you suggest that they do first?
So even though I started with around $1,000 when I started my e-commerce store, I wouldn't suggest suggest that now. It's better to have a bit of a buffer. I would suggest people to have maybe $3,000 to $5,000 before they started that. So I actually wrote a blog post called "How to Start Making Money Online Even If You're Broke," and you can just search for that on Johnny FD. Okay. But basically, I tell people don't go with Amazon FBA, don't drop ship because it's going to cost you more money than that to get started. Start with something like freelancing or teaching English online, maybe through an app. Or you can, if you really want to sell physical items, you can do something called eBay arbitrage. I had a guest named David Vu on the episode 82 of Travel Like a Boss, where he just deep dived in on how he makes over $100,000 a year selling stuff on eBay, and it's all technically I don't want to say it's drop shipped because it's a very different way of drop shipping than I do it, but basically he's arbitraging products from, like, let's say HomeDepot.com or Walmart.com on his eBay store.
Okay. All right. One final question, and here's the date. It's February 27th, 2009 at 1:45 p.m. at Johnny FDK on Twitter. You sent out your first tweet. Do you remember what it was?
No, I don't.
Just signed up for Twitter and is trying to figure out how to use it. I can't believe I got sucked into yet another internet site.
That's great.
Do you remember where you were?
Oh, I was probably in Thailand somewhere during that time, but I have no idea.
All right. You can follow Johnny. Go to his website. It is packed full of all kinds of incredible information. It's JOHNNYFD.com. And the podcasts that we mentioned, Travel Like a Boss, episode 10 with Anton, and episode 131, and also Invest Like a Boss, and your book, Life Changes Quick. You can also catch him on Twitter at JohnnyFDK, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, Johnny J3N. All right, man, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Don't forget to hit up the rock stars at printdirtcheap.com. Use promo code GoHuntLife for $10 off of your next print job. For fast, cheap, and high-quality online printing, it's printdirtcheap.com. Hey, Life Hunters, thank you for listening to this episode of Go Hunt Life. If you like the show and would like to support it, go to iTunes and do this. Subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and review it. It helps, and thank you. If you or someone that you know has quit their normal life to follow their dreams, I would love an introduction and maybe interview them on the show. You can find me at GoHuntLife.com and also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest at Go Hunt Life. Until next time, stay weird, dare greatly, and ripcord out.